Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fashion Marketing School. This is a marketing adventure event by Jackie Walker, me, the host, and we're going to go ahead and get started here so we can get you all on your way. Writing. So, first, I'm going to start by having you all to just share a little bit about yourselves. If you could, in the chat, please drop your first name, your location, how many preps you actually teach, and how long you have taught fashion marketing, or if you've ever taught fashion marketing at all. So go ahead and drop that in the chat so we can see who you are and who's joined us here on the call. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and let's talk about some of the reasons why you may be here. So maybe the challenge that you're running into as a teacher, as a fashion marketing teacher, is that you are a new teacher. Maybe you've not taught before and you're going to be teaching fashion marketing this coming school year. Maybe you're a veteran teacher and you have actually been teaching fashion marketing, but you just want to refresh yourself with some new concepts, some new ideas, or what have you. You could be, teaching, told that you were going to have to add fashion marketing as one of your preps this year. And you're like, okay, what is fashion marketing? What do I do? What is it all about? How do I go about teaching this content? Or you could have multiple preps and your plate is just loaded. You have too many things going on. You don't have time to prep for this additional content, and you just need a little bit of assistance or want some ideas of what you need to do. All of these things I can relate to because I once was in your seat. I've been a new teacher. I had 7 preps. So a lot of those things I can relate to, and I had very little time to be able to prepare my content, as you probably are aware. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Jackie Walker. I taught fashion marketing for 14 years in a fashion magnet program. So a magnet program is a program that consists of multiple years of a particular content. My program was a fashion program, and there was a design side and a marketing side. I was the marketing teacher, and I taught, we had our students from ninth grade to 12th grade. So at the very beginning, when the students came in, they entered into my entrepreneurship academy, and then they went into the dual credit program, which was an 18-hour visual merchandising program where my students earned a certificate and walked in a college graduation their senior year. So I did that for 14 years, and I was a DECA advisor for 14, all 14 of those years as well. And I managed a student-led fashion show for 12 of those years. So we put on a production every single year, except for 2 of the years. And it's mainly student-led. So I can talk about that a little bit more later on. But prior to being a teacher, I wasn't always a teacher. Like I said, I was a teacher for 14 years. But prior to that, I had over 20 years of experience in sales, retail management, and project management. So that just gives you a little bit of my background. Now, what I want to talk to you today is about the fashion school, a fashion marketing school framework that I've created that I feel like is a sound framework for you developing your fashion marketing program, whether it's one course or if it's multiple courses over multiple years. This is a framework I think that you could use that would allow you to have a successful program. So you want to be able to recruit, you want to be able to gain support, you want to grow your program, and you definitely want to have those extracurricular that'll allow your program to be pretty valuable, and recruit and get people connected to your program, incite interest in the students that are coming or that are already on your campus. Now, of course, along with your program, you want to have a curriculum that is rigorous, engaging, and collaborative. And I've created a ton of resources taken from my 14 years and created a program that would allow you to have that enrichment in your program, that would encourage creativity, exploration, observation, and critical thinking, along with supporting those core subjects because they always want the electives to support the core subjects, right? Well, the work that you will find in this framework definitely would allow you to do that. So we're going to go into facet one, which is the recruiting piece. So you may be thinking, okay, this is course is new to me, so I really don't know how to get people in there besides the counselors just putting people in your elective class to fill their schedule. One of the things you want to do as you think about your program or your course is to, talk to your administration. You want to get buy-in from them about the importance of having the right students in your class. And from that point, once you get that buy-in, you'll talk to the counselors and make sure that they understand this is not just a filler class, that you actually want students who are interested in your content, who want to progress to the next point, especially if you're looking at growing your program into a multiple course, multiple year program. One of the things that we would do, because I was actually in a magnet school that had over 18 different magnet programs, we would have an open house in the fall. And so, what this open house would do, it would allow us to invite eighth graders to our campus um, and have them give them an opportunity to look at our programs, come into our rooms, see the things that we were doing, and definitely had my students involved because the students would take them on a tour. They would come in, they would show them some of their projects, they would demonstrate some of the work that we did. But it was just a great opportunity to introduce the program to middle schoolers prior to them making their selections for high school. We would also invite middle school counselors. So this is a good idea. You can invite middle school counselors to your campus. It could be a morning breakfast, it could be a luncheon, and maybe you'd have to do an after school meeting or what have you. But it's good to get the middle school counselors onto your campus so you can take them on tours, so you can tell them about your program. You can bring them into your classroom. You can show them actually what you're doing so they can have that hands-on experience and then take that back to their campus and relay that information to their students. Now, the other thing that you could do for recruiting is hop on social media. Of course, social media is where everyone is nowadays. So you want to make sure that your course, your program, however it looks for you, has a social media page. Way you can actually promote what you're doing in your classroom, and the students can tag their friends. You can tag counselors. You can get followers from the community to start following your page so they'll actually know about your program. Additionally, you could have after school activities. I know that we do a lot as teachers, and just adding on the after school activity, maybe the last thing that you want to do, but it could be something that you do once a week, every other week, or once a month, where you are having some type of activity, whether it's a dress for success activity or you're just doing something fun and engaging, and you invite those middle schoolers or even the students that are already on your campus who are not in your class. You can invite them to that after school activities to engage them and get them excited about your program so that next time when it comes up for them to do their schedules, they'll think about adding your course to their schedule. Now, also, you might want to get involved in community services. The school that I taught in, right across the parking lot, we had an elementary school. So we would go over there. You can read books to the students because you want to start maybe at an early age, just introducing the idea of being in a fashion program. So that way they're thinking about it. So when they get to middle school, they'll always have that in their mind and they'll think, wow, I remember that class that came over talking to us about fashion. So maybe I'll explore fashion marketing when I get to high school. Go to the middle school campuses, engage with them, do activities, participate in some things that they may have going on so that you can introduce, again, the idea of your program to students who have not yet um, done their schedules or are thinking about their next step. In my district, we have a lot of different schools. We have magnet programs, we have collegiate academies, we have P-TECH programs, we have schools of innovation. So we are a choice district, which means that the students can choose to go to any school they want to. They don't have to go to their neighborhood school. So it's a competition on getting a student into your program. So there was a lot of recruiting that we had to do in order to stand out amongst all of the other programs and everything that are going on in our district. So these are some things that you may have to consider depending on the size of your district and what type of programs your district already has. Now, one of the things that really worked well for us as well is allowing an eighth grade student to shadow our class. And what that looked like is that the student came in the morning time, whether they were dropped off by a parent or whether they came with their counselor or whether a middle school brought a busload of students to our school to shadow our classes. They got to choose the programs that they wanted to go into and sit in the class for a whole class period or two. And they got to see what the students were actually working on. And they were partnered with a student so that they can actually participate in the activities or the assignments that we were doing in class that day. And then we had an opportunity to talk with them at a later time to get some feedback from them and introduce them to our process for applying to our program because we're a magnet school, our students apply to our programs. So that may look different for you. You may not be a magnet school. You just may have a course and you may just be interested in having students to look at your course. So you might not have an application process, but you can collect that student's information so you can keep in contact with them, connect them to your social media, send out a message to their counselor, and just checking to see if they were still interested in your program. So when time came in the spring to set up their schedules, then you would have an idea of whether that student was going to join into your program or not. And then the lastly is the on-campus promotion, and that's promoting to the kids that are already on your campus. So a lot of times you have to get out there because, like I said, there are electives that are very competitive, and you want to make sure that the counselors are filling your seats initially with the students who are interested in your program. So we started that scheduling process in January, and so we wanted to make sure in the fall that we were setting up tables in front of the cafeteria. We were doing activities around school. We were putting up posters, flyers. The students were going out and talking to a variety of students during the lunch periods just to get that marketing out there for our program. So don't skip over doing those activities to get the students who are already on your campus interested in your program. Now we're going to move into facet two, which is gaining support from your program. Now I find that when you talk about what you're doing, what your students are doing, whether that's going to competition, whether that's doing a fundraiser, field trips, all of those things, when you're vocal about what you're doing, it helps to bring attention to your program. Show artifacts. Artifacts can be anything like dressing up mannequins, put them out into the lunchroom, the foyers, the display cases, wherever you have on your campus that you can, the students can actually see some of the things that you're doing with your classroom. It could be putting projects up outside of your classroom. If you have display windows that you can put your projects in, put them on the walls outside of your room. Let me tell you, I filled the walls outside of my room with projects, trophies, everything that we were doing so that people, when they looked at our hallway, they were like, oh, what do they do with that program? And so they would come down the hallway and look in the room and ask questions. Show your artifacts, various ways on your social media. Just make sure that you're being really loud and bragging about your program. It may seem a bit bold, but you want to be bold if you want to get the right kids into your program. Now, also make announcements. At my school, we had a media magnet program, so they created like a news show. And so we would send our announcements over to them, and in the morning time, they would release the media show, and it was on YouTube. So the teachers would play that in the classroom, so students got to see video of what we were doing or hear an announcement about what we were doing. So you want to always make announcements at every level. If you're participating in a CTSO, a Career and Technical Student Organization, you want to always talk about what you're doing. Make announcements about going to district, what who won a district, going to state, who won a state. If you go to the national levels, you always want to be loud and proud about everything that you do to gain that support from the teachers, because I can tell you that teachers if if they see their student, like the core teachers, if they see their students are participating in activities like competitions for their CTSOs, they get excited and they love to support their students. So you always want to send out emails. I would send a blast email out to everyone on our campus about our competitions, what we're doing, who was participating, how well they did, so that they could buy into the program and what we were doing and be excited about it. So if anytime we were going to go on a field trip or anything like that, we wouldn't have to be concerned about a teacher like, oh, why are you taking the student out of my classroom? Well, they know what that student is doing. They know how valuable it is and what the student gains from it. So they get excited about it. You also want to involve family, friends, and other students and parents. We know that as high school teachers, parents tend to be, what my experience, parents tend to be less involved. They feel like the kids are old enough that they really don't need to be hands-on with them. And I find that to be opposite. I find that at that age, kids really need their parents connected to them and want them involved. So through whatever resources you have, when I was in school, I used Remind. I would send messages out to the parents about what we were doing, keeping them connected, keeping them in the loop. Nowadays, since we've gone online and more digital with everything, there may be resources that you have through your LMS that you can communicate to the parents, but definitely keep them connected and involved. Send them out your social media page so they can see what you're posting on social media to stay in the loop of what you're doing with your program. Constantly talk about, even on your own social media. I know people are a little taboo about talking about work on their social media, but I find that if you just mention what you're doing, you don't have to show your students, you don't have to, release too much information, but just talk about, hey, we went on this field trip today. Students really learned this, that, or another, or students that really opened their eyes up to something they've never experienced before. I really enjoyed taking them on this field trip. Oh, we're going to competition, and this is going to be great for them to interact and engage and communicate with other students. So, you can just say those little bit of things. And so when people see you doing those things, if you happen to have a fundraiser and you say, hey, you guys, I really need support. We're going on this the competition. We're just short and we're going to have a fundraiser. Will you please support my fundraiser? That way, they will already know the value of what you do because you've talked about it on your social media, and they'll be more willing to support you. So that's just something to think about. And again, use social media. I can't overstate that enough. Use social media because social media has a way of really helping to amplify the support in your community that surrounds you. And don't be afraid to tell what your needs are. I know at the beginning of the school year, teachers are always saying, here's my school list, here's my wish list, and I want this or that or whatever. And then it fades off. But as a CTSO teacher, as a teacher who has a program, especially if you're taking kids to competition or what have you, even just with the basic things that you need in your classroom, funding is not always there. You're going to fall short of being able to supply those needs because, or you're going to have to pull out of your own pocket, which we always do, right? So you always want to tell people what your needs are because you never know who's willing to support you, who's willing to buy whatever you have on your wish list, not just the beginning of the school wish list, but a whole year wish list. So always talk about what your needs are, and you never know who's connected to who. So they may be connected to someone who may be able to supply you with some things. I remember one year, there was a lady that connected to our program, and she just wanted to be involved in our program and be like an advisor. But she was connected to someone else who worked at Hager, the men's clothing. Well, it used to be men's, but it's men and women's clothing now. And that person contacted me one day and was like, hey, we have some mannequins that we're no longer using at our corporate office because all the retailers set up a store in their corporate offices to do the planograms and all that kind of stuff. Well, they had new mannequins that they were bringing in. And so they're like, we have these mannequins. Can you use them in your program? And I was like, yes, we can use these mannequins in our program, especially because they were men and we never had any male mannequins. And so you never know who can provide some support to your program in various ways and who they're connected to, who may be able to provide support. So tell people what your needs are. Now, facet three It's going to focus on growing your program. Um, you may just be teaching one fashion marketing class, but you may be interested after teaching that one fashion marketing class to expand to another fashion marketing class. You're probably thinking, like, how can I do that? Our curriculum only has one intro to fashion marketing class. Well, one way you can do that is to look at your local college. As I said before, I taught a 3-year dual credit visual merchandising program. When I started teaching, that program was already in place. However, it was only two classes that we were teaching on my campus. And so I taught one class to my juniors and taught another class to my seniors. And the other classes, students would go off campus in the evening or on the weekends, or even in the summertime to complete the dual credit classes so they can get their certificate. Well, when I first started, I found that those students weren't completing their certificate because they didn't take the extra time to go to campus for those dual credit courses. So they were finishing their high school career with maybe a couple of dual credit courses under their belt, and they could then go to the local community college that offered the program and complete their certificate. So what I decided to do was to bring more of those classes onto my campus. And so it was a 2-year program where the juniors were taking dual credit um, fall and spring, and so were the seniors. And so they would still go to the campus, the college campus, to complete the certificate, but they were more inclined to do so because it was at that time it was a 21 credit program, so they had a few more classes that they need to take, so they were more inclined to do it so they can get their certificate because they enjoy the idea of walking in the graduation with the college students before they even walked across the stage for their high school diploma. Eventually, in talking with the director over that program, we talked about, and she was like, you might as well just teach the whole program on your campus. You're capable, right? I'm like, well, sure, I'm capable. And so that introduced moving my sophomore class into a dual credit program so that I ended up having a 3-year dual credit program where the students were able to complete their certificate. I taught all the classes on my campus, and they earned their visual merchandising certificate and walked into graduation with college students before they even walked across the stage to receive their diploma, which made them very proud. And this picture is a group of my students who actually were had just completed receiving their certificate in their graduation ceremony. So you get something like that. It may be a slow process where you add one or two classes if you have a local class that has a fashion merchandising program, but it's something to look into to see if that's something that may work for you. If there is not a local community college that has a fashion marketing program, there are online fashion certificate programs. So I do encourage you to get out there and look at some online fashion programs to see where you may be able to um, collaborate or join that class with your curriculum or your state's curriculum to be able to offer that class in conjunction with the state curriculum that's required for your fashion marketing program. And then talk to your CTE specialist for your district. See if that's something that's feasible. See if there's something that you can work out that may allow you to grow your program into a fashion marketing program or a fashion program or whatever you're looking to do with your program. Talk to your school administration. See if that's something that they will be interested in and just come up with a plan. And once you do, sell it to the counselors so that they can get the right students into your class for your program. Now, going into facet four, this is the extracurricular. I've already talked about CTSOs. There's various career and technical student organizations for marketing, which is DECA. And then for business, there's BPA. And then for family and consumer sciences, there's FCCLA. I find that teachers in all of these areas teach fashion marketing. I don't know which one you are, but you know, be sure and look into if you don't already have a CTSO, putting one in place, starting a chapter on your campus. This is one of the things that will bring students into your program, bring students into your class, put the right students. And I keep saying the right students because we all know the wrong students can be in our program and it's not fun at all. But look at starting a chapter for a CTSO on your campus if you don't already have one, or how you can grow that CTSO. by bringing more students into the program who are actually interested in fashion marketing. Now, one component of an extracurricular activity is a fashion show. Now, for my students, the fashion show was actually a part of our curriculum. So we spent a lot of our classroom time with the fashion show production, but I find that other campuses may use it as an after school activity, a club, so to speak, so that students from all across the campus, whether they're in theater, art, journalism, music, whatever kind of student is, they can contribute to the production of the fashion show. So it can be a great after school club and recruitment tool that you can use. And fashion shows are a great fundraiser for your program. If you're not already doing one, then you might want to look at doing a fashion show. That's one of the things that I'll talk a lot about in my private Facebook group is a fashion show production. And I actually have a podcast where I've done a fashion show series on the production of a fashion show. And I'm looking to do an upcoming course about producing a fashion show. So look for that in the future. Now, with that framework, that's great to have all that in place. But how do you start the school year? How do you get things going and flowing with your school year to get students engaged immediately and staying on track for all of the things that you need to teach as it relates to fashion marketing? You're dealing with two different contents. You're dealing with fashion and you're dealing with marketing. So I've come with a work of sorts for introducing fashion and getting it started in your at the beginning of the school year. So this framework is consists of 6 weeks, although it only has 5 weeks listed here. The last week there's a project, so that tends to be like a 2 week project. But I think starting out the school year, of course, we know the first week of school there's a lot of movement going on because there's a lot of leveling with the classes and moving kids around. I didn't have that so much with my program because I had a set group of students year to year to year. Now, that didn't mean I didn't run into issues where I had students put into my classes that shouldn't have been there or what have you. But first week is hectic. So we know we're not going to really start with any projects or anything of that sort. So I think the first week, starting off with a fashion activity or two, just to get the kids talking about fashion, what their interests are, doing an activity where they may do a little bit of research about a celebrity or something like that is a great start. And then just introducing a marketing activity. So my idea of teaching fashion marketing is doing a little bit of fashion in the beginning of the week and then doing marketing like at the end of the week. I don't know if you have like a block schedule or if you have your students every single day. That's something you would have to figure out as to how much fashion you'll do at the beginning of the week and how you will incorporate marketing maybe at the end of the week. I operated on a block schedule and actually a double block schedule. So I had my students for 3 hours. So like one block schedule, we would do fashion related activities. The other block of that schedule, we would do marketing activities. So that was something that we did every single day. And just depending on what kind of project or the fashion show we were working on, how we would incorporate that into our day. Not to mention that we also operated a store on our campus. So we had a lot going on. But for you just dealing with a marketing class, you just want to, or fashion marketing class, you may want to just at the beginning of the week, like I said, if you do a block schedule, maybe on Monday, introduce some fashion activities. On Tuesday, finish up on those activities. Friday, I mean, not Tuesday, but Wednesday, finish up on those activities. And then Friday could be a marketing day. And then if you have them Tuesday, Thursday, the next week, then Tuesday would be your fashion week or fashion day. And then on Thursday would be your marketing day. So just think about incorporating some kind of cycle of introducing your fashion activities and introducing your marketing activities. Here with the second week, we will go on into doing a fashion activity again and another marketing activity and introducing a project. And projects that I have for my students generally lasted like 2 weeks, or it could be a 4 week project. So just depending on the length of the project that you have, you can introduce your project the second week. It will roll into the third week. You still have your fashion activity early in the week and your marketing activity later in the week. And then you're finishing up on your project. And then by the time you roll around to the fifth week, you can have a second project that you're introducing, which will be a 2 week project, and that'll round out your 6 weeks. I don't know if you're on a 6 week schedule or a 9 week schedule, how your semester goes, but this is an introductory outline of how you could introduce fashion marketing activities into your classroom the first 6 weeks. Now, they do have a starter pack of activities for fashion marketing. It includes a pacing guide. It covers a 6 week period of time. During that time, it will have one presentation that you can give to your students. It has 19 activities that you can go through, and the pacing guide tells you when to plug those activities in. And then it has 3 projects that it consists of, a total of 329 pages and slides of information that you can share with your students. And I'll show you here what that consists of. So as you see, the first week, there's a what is fashion to me activity. This is something for the students to talk about themselves. Then they do an activity about a celebrity. And that gets them involved and engaged, doing a little bit of research. And this is just in the first week, something fun to do. And then by the time the second week comes around, the big 4 fashion weeks are happening in September, the first week of September. So here's a project you can introduce to them where they can start researching the fashion activities, starting with New York Fashion Week and going on into Milan and London and Paris. And during that time, you also can introduce to them some activities that look at the elements and principles of design, because they will look at those when they're doing that big 4 fashion week project. And then this is a simple marketing activity. You can start with introducing marketing to them. So there's 2 marketing projects. And then in the third week, I suggest introducing this semester-long project for fashion careers. It's not something that's done in 1 or 2 weeks. It's actually done over the semester. So they'll take bits and pieces and do that over the semester. And then here's some activities that are fashion activities for that week. And then some marketing activities. You can touch on marketing functions and introduce that concept to them. All right. So you have an activity and then you have a quiz so that you will introduce during the third week. And then in the fourth week, you start talking about the fashion cycles. So then we start talking about fashion movement, fashion cycles, fashion theory. You have a couple of activities that you would do. And then we would move into the marketing activity. And this is the fashion theories. There's a simple slideshow that they will fill in about fashion theory once you teach that. And then there's I use the puzzles as like a quiz with the students, like an assessment. And then here's the marketing activity you can introduce for that week: market segmentation, talking about target market and all of that. So there's an activity and then there's a quiz. And then we will move into the fifth week, which is the second big project. Not the career project. To me is like their overall arching semester project. But this is the second project that would be introduced the fifth week: environmental factors. It has an activity connected to it. And then you have your marketing activity that you can introduce. Competition. So they have an activity and then they would have a quiz on competition. And then after you've completed the 6 weeks, moving into that's your 6 weeks for your starter pack. All right. And if you want to get connected to me, you can screenshot that, but I'll have a screenshot at the end as well. But that's your starter pack. I do have a full semester bundle that would take you from the very first week to the last week of the semester, 18 weeks. It also includes the pacing guide. It has 4 presentations, so you get 3 additional presentations in this packet, 3 additional activities, and that 4 should be 5. There's 2 additional projects that are in this particular packet. And just to show you what that packet consists of, like I said, it has the 4 presentations. So you're going to get special events, advertising. You're going to get the selling packet presentation. You're going to get visual merchandising, which is my most popular presentation. But these are what the presentations look like. This is the visual merchandising. It has 80 pages of information for you to teach to your class. Here are the marketing activities. The additional activities for this is going to be the fashion poster, the major fashion center posters, and a project that is very fun, the icosahedron. They look really nice when the students complete those and you hang them in your classroom. Those 2, in addition to the activities that you would get with the starter pack. So this is going to zoom through all those activities that we already saw in the starter pack. And then it's going to come up on the passion projects, which the 2 additional projects, one is actually going to be your year-end project, which you'll see in just a little bit. I'll let this complete going through. But the year-end project takes at least 6 weeks to complete. It's very detailed, and you'll use all of those presentations to walk your students through those projects. So again, these are your fashion projects that are already in the starter pack. Additionally, you get the fashion resources project, which has the students learning about the different types of media. And here's the fashion store promotional plan, which is your year-end project, which can also be used for competition for DECA for sure. I didn't participate in BPA or FCCLA, so I don't know what type of competitions they have, but for sure the students can take that and use that competition in competition. Now, another thing that I do offer, which is new this year, is a membership, and it's called, I call it Fashion Marketing School membership. So with this membership, you would get at least 2 products every single month, and most times it's going to be 3 or 4 products. And you also get an invitation to the private Facebook group. I will be doing lives every week in there called Teachers Lounge. We'll talk about most current things related to fashion marketing, talk about any kind of issues that you may be running into. We can always talk about those anytime throughout the week, but it's a special time to engage in with other like-minded teachers. I can tell you that I was the only teacher teaching fashion marketing, with a fashion marketing program in my district. My district is Dallas, Texas, which is one of the largest school districts in the United States. I was the only teacher teaching a 4-year fashion marketing program, or even just teaching fashion marketing. At one time, there was another teacher at another magnet school that had a 4-year program, or actually, her program was more like a 3-year program, but then that shut down. And I was the only teacher teaching fashion marketing. I never had anyone that I could talk to about what I was doing. So I was had a very insulated program where I was on an island by myself doing what I was doing. And so with this Facebook group, my goal is to have a place where teachers can come and talk about what they're doing, get some help from one another, some suggestions, and really find what they need as far as professional development or what have you, because we don't have that either, right? I'm also going to be sharing some fashion show tips. So if you're interested in doing a fashion show, this is an opportunity for you to be able to really get some information about implementing a fashion show on your campus. And just to give you a little bit of information of what people have said, some educators are saying that about the Ultimate Fashion Marketing Bundle, this resource saved me. It made my lessons more engaging, and I would recommend this purchase. Another teacher said about the icosahedron that this was a fun activity. My students really enjoyed it. My classroom was so much fun with all of their creative icosahedrons hanging from the ceilings. They were also useful to refer back to when we discuss any of the marketing concepts. The icosahedrons are so fun. They're very creative, and it looks good when the administrator walks into your room and you have all these icosahedrons hanging around your room or outside of your classroom in the hallway. If you're allowed to do that, it looks really fun and it's exciting. All righty. So how can you connect with me? Again, you can go to my website, marketingadventure.com, or email me. I'm on Instagram. I'm going to be more engaged on Instagram. Marketing Adventures, where you can find me. My Facebook page is Marketing Adventure. However, in your email, I did have a link. I think it went to my Facebook page. But if you email me, I can send you the link to the Facebook group. And also my podcast. Definitely go over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen to podcasts on, and look up Marketing Adventure with Jackie. Actually, you can go to, if you can right now, scan this QR code and it'll take you to my podcast link. I release a podcast every single Monday. And right now there are solo episodes. If you go scroll all the way back to the beginning, I did some guest episodes, but right now I've mostly been doing solo episodes, but I do look forward to getting some more guest episodes up on the podcast. But I cover a variety of content. I strictly focus on fashion marketing because nobody's talking about it out there, and teachers need support in that area. Well, that sums up Fashion Marketing School. I would like to open the floor for any kind of questions that you may have. Right. And if you don't have any questions right now, definitely email me and I can answer your questions for you. Get into that private Facebook group. I will definitely be able to answer questions there as well. But I do thank you for spending your time with me here, and I look forward to you joining Fashion Marketing School.